So, well, actually, I guess first I'd like to just have everybody do a real quick breath experience. We'll just do something
Awesome.
for a minute here, and then I'll go into that in a minute.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
this is a really easy exercise that you can do to just reset your breathing. So if you find that you are stressed out, you're breathing through your mouth, you're kind of up high in your chest, and you have like anxiety, this is a really good one that just takes about 30 seconds to just reset that. And it'll reset your posture, it'll reset your breathing, and it'll bring you down into your center. So the way that this one works is, and you don't do it, I'll just run you through it really quickly, is normal breath in, normal breath out. Then we'll take one more breath in and we'll push out to the very bottom. So there's the base of your breath, there's the neutral part of your breath, and then there's the top of your breath. And we're going to go and find the top, the neutral, and the bottom. And to do that, at the beginning, we're going to take a normal breath in, we're going to breathe out, and we're going to force our air all the way out to the very bottom as far as we can possibly go. And then we're going to breathe all the way into the very top, find the very top, and then we're going to go and release and just find that neutral point. So it's a breath exploration. So right now, we'll take a normal breath in through the nose and just out to neutral, no forcing. Then we'll do one more breath in, and this time we're going to force the air all the way to the very bottom. So on the exhale, start breathing out. And when you get down to the bottom, start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, until no sound comes out of your mouth anymore. All the way to the very bottom. All the way. Go, 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 go. And once you're there, normal breath in through the nose. All the way up. Fill up your chest and your belly all the way up. Keep your shoulders relaxed. And when you get to the top, we'll take another sniff in, sniff in, sniff in, sniff in until you're very top. Come on, Addie, all the way up. Bring your chest up, all the way up. Fill yourself up with air. And then once we go to the top, we'll release that out and just let it out, relaxed. So where we should be at right now is just fully relaxed. We haven't pushed out air. We haven't sucked in air. We're just at neutral. So once again, if you ever want to find this, it'll help you to center. You just take a normal breath out, in, breathe all the way to the very bottom, tensing that chest, tensing that diaphragm, actually finding the base of the breath, going all the way to the top, and then out to neutral. And it's just a really good way to get in touch with where am I at right now? What is the bottom of my breath? What is the top of my breath? And what is actually neutral? Where should I be chilling? Where should I be relaxing at? Where is that actual point? And you'll find that for a lot of exercises, a lot of breathwork practices, we're going to be breathing from neutral and up. And just to demonstrate one more thing, because neutral is a really, really important concept to find. To find neutral, you can find it by, so I don't know if this is going to work very well. You can tell me if this comes through. So if I've pushed out too much air, when I let go, it breathes in automatically to find that neutral point. So that neutral point is where you should be able to open your mouth and your nose, and you just sit there. Your body's not moving at all. The inside pressure of your chest is the same as the pressure outside of you. So it's the same thing. If you breathe in a little bit and let go, that'll find neutral again. So you can either be, that's just breathing into neutral, or finds neutral again. So, for example, if somebody's having a panic attack, most likely what they've been doing is this thing called air stacking, where if you breathe in and they think they can't breathe because they're up here already and they're gasping for air, but they're actually filled completely up in the first place. They're like, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. It's because they actually have an entire breath of air inside of them. So one of the worst things that you can do to somebody having a panic attack is tell them to take a deep breath, because they can't. So if you find somebody who is in a panic state, tell them to breathe out. Force that air out, and then let them find when they actually need to breathe in after that. It'll give them room to breathe. So I threw a lot of different little things into there. But we did a little bit of breath exploration, getting in touch with what is the actual capacity of our breath, and then talked a little bit about panic there. So, yeah.
Wow.
The original question was, how did I get into all of this? You went over a little bit about my background. I was, some of my first memories are not being able to breathe, being in the hospital, being strapped to a stretcher with nurses and doctors all around me, and literally not being able to breathe. Like, talk about thinking something is wrong here. And over the years, one of the thing that actually saved me was when I think I was about 11 years old. My mom took me to Bulgaria, and we were in the mountains, and my asthma was, just as bad as it always had been. And we were either going to go back to the US and start taking allergy shots, or we were going to do something and decide something, not do them, and start getting better. And we basically made a pact. We said, hey, we're going to return. I'm not going to take my allergy shots. I'm just going to do whatever it is that we need to do, and I'm going to start getting better. And I actually started getting better over time. It was one of the first times that I really saw the power of the mind and decision and creating an existence and having people enrolled in a new possibility for the future that we can live into. And I'm not saying I was like immediately cured or anything like that. It took years. It took like another decade basically for me to fully get through that. But I went down a path where I get to be the source of the change versus needing to rely on things that are outside of me. That being said, sometimes people need to rely on things outside of them because there's sometimes that you need a surgery, there's sometimes that you need this stuff. So if your doctor's telling you to do things, still do them. They're great people. They're trying to help too. Also, we have a lot of other things around us, just like what Addie was saying at the beginning, where we have natural options to make ourselves better. And so, I delved into meditation and theory and studied as much about psychology as I possibly could, and neurobiology and neuropsychology, and learned about the body and everything so that I could understand what was going on inside of myself. And it wasn't until a lot longer than that I actually, I started a meditation practice 5 years ago. And then I was like, okay, well, what's next? What's more effective than mindfulness, than sitting there being with what's there? Like, okay, I'm being with what's here. I'm being anxious. Great. What can I do with that, though, is the question. How do I influence that? How do I find the more effective thing? And what I learned is that is the breath. We are the one animal on the planet that can consciously affect our breathing. It also means that a lot of dissonance and a lot of things that can come from the breath that when we're not aware of what we're doing with it. So it's a blessing and a curse. And the more we learn about it, the more we understand it, the more it can be a blessing. So in 2018, I listened to Tom Bilyeu's Impact Theory podcast. And Wim Hof came on it. Started talking about his breathwork method and the effects that it can have on reducing inflammation and on mental issues and on just increasing the strength of the vascular system and the respiratory system. And I was blown away. I was like, holy, if I would have known about this, or if my parents would have known about this when I was 2 or 5 or whatever, it would have been months that I would have been able to go and get to where it took me 2 decades to get to. So I dedicated myself and took the 10-week course and then took the advanced course. And then I flew to Poland and worked with him for 10 days with Wim in Poland, doing the winter retreat, signed up for the master's courses, and then COVID hit. And so I'm still waiting on completing that instructor training, but I'm right there, that close. And in the meantime, been working with Patrick McEwen on Oxygen Advantage, and I could literally talk about this forever, so you should probably shut me up for a minute. So right now I have private clients who I work with. To work with me, it's $200 per session. And I work on either month-long or 3-month-long contracts because to me, this is rewiring entire lifetimes of unconscious breathing in the wrong way. And it takes a month to 3 months. 90 days pretty much is kind of the minimum on creating a new life habit. So my stand is that people can understand and create new lifelong habits to make them as optimal and as powerful and as strong and as flexible as possible using the breath. So I work with people really to rewire how they breathe while they're talking. Do you breathe in through your mouth when you talk? Do you breathe in through your nose? It took me months to rewire that. to rewire the way that they breathe when they sleep, so that when they're sleeping, they're not breathing through their mouths. If you breathe through your mouth when you're sleeping, you're losing a whole bunch of water all night long. You're pushing yourself into sympathetic, which is fight or flight. So you're stressing yourself out. You're waking up stressed out. It moves into sleep apnea, snoring, and all of this ineffectiveness that through literally taping your mouth shut at night, using the special products for doing that, you can force yourself into gently breathing through the nose, which when you breathe through the nose all night long, you're going to be more relaxed. You're losing less water. You're not going to be as dehydrated. You're sleeping better. You're sleeping deeper. You're getting more REM sleep. There's all sorts of different things that you can do with that. And then also just, teaching people different techniques and skills that they can use to, for example, one of my clients is an asthmatic. From the age of 7 to 11, he was consistently getting worse and worse and worse. The doctors would put him on the steroids. You'd have your albuterol puff so that when you start to feel that induced asthma coming on, you'd go squirt that into your body and it'll open it back up. It's a steroid. And the moment you start relying on a steroid is the moment that you literally start getting weaker, because you're not being taught how to manage that issue with something that'll be long-term. You're given the steroid, which opens your airways, which then you become dependent on the steroid. So my job is I can teach people how, and there are, oxygen advantage instructors. There's, I think, 350 of them in the world now. And we can teach people how, using the breath, to manage asthma symptoms, to get people off of inhalers, and to actually grow themselves by inducing and using the respiratory system and the vascular system by strengthening it. The respiratory system is not a static thing. You can do a bunch of exercises and you can make it stronger. So I've been working with him for this will be our 6th week. He's gone from having his asthma medication all the time with him at practices and soccer practice and at track, to his parents literally crying because they're so happy being able to see him just run full out for 3 straight games of soccer, matches of soccer. And it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I literally know how to take people with asthma and put them into situations afterwards with which they would have been very, very stressed out before. And they're just like easily able to go in and run and play and do everything that they need to do. It's like I'm able to heal the trauma that I was going through when I was younger. And I have the knowledge to actually have people understand how to get through that and to strengthen themselves naturally using the breath, using only the breath.
The
essence of it is breathe through your nose all the time, as much as you can. And if you're doing intentional breathwork practices, it's okay to breathe orally through the mouth for some time, only when you're intentionally doing it, when you're doing a specific breathwork practice. But for the rest of the day, breathe through your nose. If you want to increase your energy, breathe through your mouth. If you want to lower your energy and go and relax, breathe through your nose and extend your exhales for longer periods of time. So the ratio is 1 inhale to 1.5 exhale. You'll put yourself into parasympathetic. So if you go 4 seconds in through the nose, 6 seconds out through the nose, that'll start relaxing you. If you go 4 seconds in, 2 seconds out, or if you do that through the mouth, you'll start building energy. So the rule is, if you breathe with intention, you can increase your energy, especially if you're doing that through the mouth. So mouth breathing intentionally builds energy. Mouth breathing unintentionally, unconsciously, that builds anxiety, because your mind doesn't know why your body's energy is going up. So there's a dissonance there, and then that creates anxiety instead of energy because you're not aligned. So there's intention, inhale versus exhale, mouth breathing versus nose breathing. And those are kind of once you understand those small basics, you can really play around with it. Oh, one last thing. On the mechanics. So the biochemical aspect of breathing, people tend to like demonize carbon dioxide. Like carbon dioxide is a bad gas. It's unhealthy. You're not supposed to have it. That is so not true. In large amounts, yes, it can kill you if you're in a space station and the carbon dioxide is going up and that's all you're getting. Like that's an issue in of itself. Down here, when we're breathing, carbon dioxide is what actually allows the blood to transfer oxygen into your cells. So if you're hyperventilating, for example, you are getting rid of too much CO2. Once you get rid of too much CO2, you have a low value of CO2, you can be breathing as much as you want, but none of that oxygen is going to actually get to your cells. So in essence, what you're doing is you're starving yourself of oxygen by breathing too much. So the other couple things about breathing is the optimal breath is 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, or 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. So we're supposed to technically be breathing about 6 times per minute. The average breathing these days is upwards of about 20 to 25 times per minute. And the medical community just keeps changing the average of what our breathing is, rather than looking at why is this average going up and what is this increased average creating in us. We as a community, as a society, as human beings are breathing faster than we were a decade ago. We were breathing faster than we were 100 years ago. And what that's creating is lower levels of CO2, higher levels of stress, less ability to manage burnout. So in essence, by breathing faster and by the speed of our society and technology and all of these things coming up, we're creating this, what is considered average state where we are actually being stressed out constantly. So if you can bring more awareness to how much you're breathing, how fast you're breathing, are you breathing in your chest, are you breathing low, and make some little changes to that to slow down your breathing, you can actually increase your CO2 levels a little bit. CO2 is a vasodilator, which means that as your level of CO2 goes up, your veins open up. Your hands and feet will have better circulation. Your hands and feet will be warmer. And you'll be more in the rest, relax, heal, revive, all of that aspect of the parasympathetic. So yeah, I can talk about this literally forever, and I'm very passionate about it.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So you can find me on the Human Activation movement on Facebook. You can also find me humanactivation.org. And you can always email me directly at essentialbreathworks@gmail.com, which is my coaching business. And then as well, so Chuck McGee III, who's an incredible Wim Hof instructor, Oxygen Advantage instructor, is a business partner of mine. We run 3 free weekly breathwork sessions every week. It's Monday nights at 9 p.m. PST, Wednesday mornings at 6:30 a.m., and Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. And that's 15 minutes of Q&A, a 35-minute long-ish breathwork session, and another 20 to 30 minutes of Q&A at the end of that. And that has happened 3 times a week. So you can find that information and the access links on humanactivation.org or the Facebook events at Human Activation Movement on Facebook.
Breathwork session.
Yeah, let's see here. First, some good relaxation. We're gonna do some box breathing. Actually, this is a fun one. It's a little bit more, quote unquote, complicated than just the 4 and 6 out. So box breathing it's a box. We breathe in for a certain number of seconds. We hold for a certain number of seconds. We breathe out for a certain number of seconds, and then we hold for a certain number of seconds. So we got these 4 hold or breathe in points. And we're going to start off with 3 seconds, and then we're going to move into 4 seconds. And then we're going to hang out probably 2 or 3 rounds of 5 seconds. And then we're going to do a 6 and a 7 seconds. And it'll be about 3 minutes long. And the reason that we're extending that time is that the bigger the time you have, the more relaxation you're going to be getting from it. So you basically, you can bring those seconds numbers up to as much as you want. And it's something to play around with. So that's why we're going to be switching them, going back and forth. You ready?
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right. So for everybody, I always recommend when you're doing breathwork practices, close your eyes. You can go into your body a little bit easier and go into yourself and you get more benefit from it. So we're going to start off. We're just going to take a normal breath in through the nose and out. And we're going to go in, 2, 3, hold the top, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, and hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go into 6, and I'm not going to count. I'm just going to go in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold, we're going to go to 7 seconds, in, hold, and make sure your posture's straight and your head is up, out, hold, in, hold, out, and hold. All right. You can just resume breathing. So at the end there, we were doing 1 breath every 32 seconds. So just about 2 breaths per minute. So it's a practice that you can use to, and I'm curious, how are you feeling, Addie?
Oh, I feel great. Yeah.
Relaxed?
Yeah. Very relaxed.
Do your hands and feet get warm at all?
They are warm. Yeah. I was wondering why it got warm.
Yeah. When we take that
perfect.
time to just slow down a little bit and bring our breathing into a little bit less frantic, I could say. We increase that carbon dioxide level a little bit. Your body opens up, blood flow opens up. You get more blood to your brain. If you're ever stuck creatively, here's a tip. Hold your breath. If you're ever feeling a block creatively, or if you don't know what to write next, or if you don't know what to say next, just take a normal breath in, out to neutral, and hold your breath there for a little bit. What that'll do is it'll get your carbon dioxide level up. It'll literally flush your brain with more blood, and you'll be able to find things.